everyone, good morning to all of you. Again, you're all very welcome to my channel. How's your day? Hope you are all good and hope you are well. So I'm your friend, Mildred G. Dolnuan, but just call me Medmed or Med because I much prefer when people calls me to my nickname rather to my real name. Charot, just kidding. So if you guys seen and watched my first video last year, 3rd week of December, it's all about tips to avoid and manage stress. And today's content or video, of course, it was a great opportunity to share you guys about how was personality developed. In line with that, I'd like to talk about Erickson's psychosocial stages of personality development. So in this theory, there are 8 stages that we will talk about. But before going on that, let's first talk about a short background about Erik Erickson. Erik Erickson was born on June 15, 1902 in Frankfurt, Germany. His young Jewish mother, Carla Abrahamsen, raised Erik by herself for a time before marrying a physician, Dr. Theodor Hamburger. The fact that Hamburger was not his biological father was concealed from Erickson for many years. When Erickson finally knew the truth, he left with a feeling of confusion about who really was. So at his experience helped spark his interest in the formation of identity. He would later explain that a child who often felt confused about who he was and who he fit into the community. That was the reason why he come up with the theory psychosocial stages of personality development. So psychosocial stages of personality development has 8 stages that proposed by Erik Erickson. So later on we will paste it here, but for us to do that, let's now start. So the first stage that Erickson proposed is the trust versus mistrust.
Her alarm goes off and she gets up to watch the morning news. Doesn't work no more but tells a lot of stories about her youth. Drinks more late.
So what's it all about? In this stage, infants have no idea about where they were lived, and the infant seeking for the care of his or her caregiver or parents. If the infant did not satisfy or didn't meet the needs or expectation, he or she will start to feel the mistrust. In this stage, it must focusing on hope. Okay. The next stage is the autonomy versus shame and doubt. So in this stage, the child started to develop of being independent, which is a child start doing things on his own. Like for example, he or she can put his or her own shoes and clothes and the child playing around. In addition, the physical aspect of the child started to develop. They engage themselves to physical activities. In this second stage, it focused on will. The third stage was the initiative versus guilt.
I wonder if God got a plan for everyone. I wonder if I could take.
This stage is also called as rapid development stage, which is rapid means fast. They explored their interpersonal skills. They started interacting with other children in school. They were learning something. They were thirsty in gaining new knowledge. They asked too many questions, and if you did not answer or they are not satisfied to your answer, then the child will started to feel guilt. This stage focuses on play. The fourth stage is the industry versus inferiority. At this stage, child do things on their own like schoolwork, and mostly at this stage, his or her peers will be helping him or her to gain self-esteem. For example, his friend is a basketball player. Then also, he will have the idea that he wanted to play basketball too. If the child may not able to develop their skills, he or she think that society is demanding, and it will start to develop the sense of inferiority. To be failed in some aspects of our life is normal, and the child may start to develop humility. In this stage, it is important to balance the competence and modesty to achieve the virtue of competence. The fifth stage is the identity versus role confusion. Okay, identity versus role confusion is age 12 to 18 years, just like us, or adolescence stage. At this stage, the child have their own plans in their own goals and what they want to be. In this stage, the virtue is
Her
fidelity.
alarm goes off and she gets up to watch the morning news. Doesn't work no more, but tells a lot of stories about her youth. Drinks more lately, ain't got pills and that.
And the sixth stage is the intimacy versus isolation. At this stage, it takes place during child adulthood between the ages of approximately 18 to 40 years. At this stage, it focuses on forming intimate and loving relationship with other people. Avoiding intimacy will lead to isolation, feeling alone, and feeling lonely. The virtue of this stage is love. Okay. The second to the last stage is the generativity versus stagnation. At this stage, middle ages, late 40 age, a person discovers a sense of contributing to the world, especially to the family. They do what they think is good to their family and to the world in general. So the virtue of this stage is care. And the last stage is the ego versus despair.
Her alarm goes off and she gets up to watch the morning news. Doesn't work no more, but tells a lot of stories about it.
At this stage begins at approximately age 65 and ends of that of the final stage, where we sit and look at our achievements or accomplishment in life. We reflect on what we did. If we have no regrets on what we did, then despair comes. And finally, the virtue of this stage is wisdom. So here, these are the 8 stages of psychosocial stages of the personality development by Erickson. We have the trust versus mistrust, wherein hope is the virtue, autonomy versus shame and doubt, will is the virtue. The third stage is the initiative versus guilt, the virtue is play. Industry versus inferiority, the virtue is competence. And the fifth stage is the identity versus role confusion, which is fidelity is the virtue. Intimacy versus isolation is love is the virtue. The seventh stage is the generativity versus stagnation, and care is the virtue. And the last stage of psychosocial is ego versus despair, which is wisdom is the virtue. Erickson theories mark an important shift in thinking on personality. Instead of focusing simply on early childhood events, his psychosocial theory looks at how social influence contribute to our personalities throughout our entire lifespans. So, last Monday, I come up with the idea that what if I interview some person in Messenger? So, I have here 3 persons that responded to my question, how personality of one person develop. So, according to Carol May Manglalan, development of personality is depend how she interact with the factors that influences her whole being, like the family and the community, her health, her education, and her economic status. According to Casey Faye Torres, personality develop in many factors like peers, parenting, environment, and the society that surround us. In these factors, it builds unique personality emerge over time. And according to Marife Magdawat, personality develop when we are going to the process of life. It may be developed when we socialize to others and when we are going through being maturity. Moreover, personality develops when we are strong enough with anything that comes into our life. And yes, I agree with those person, and it based from my experience during childhood and growing up, and also based on my observation. I want to share to you what my observation. Meron po kaming isang bata dito na nung hindi pa po sila dito nakatira, yung ugali niya is talagang mabait siya. Yung personality niya is kakaiba. Talagang naturuan siya ng mga magulang. Then, hanggang sa tumatagal na sila dito, yung personality niya is nag-iiba. Just like nagiging bastos na siya, yung pananalita niya hindi dapat niya sinasabi. Pero, it based on my observation na yung mga batang nakakalaro niya is malaki talagang impluensya sa pag-develop ng personality niya. Kaya ganun na siya ngayon, yung marunong na siyang manumbat ng parents or manumbat ng nakakatanda sa kanya. And based on my observation, this pandemic. So that's all, guys. We're done here to Psychosocial stages. Hope that I have give you an information or idea. Hindi man po sapat, pero sana nakatulong sa kaalaman nating lahat. And of course, I want to thank you all for watching this video, and hope you are enjoy it. Please like the video below, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.